Okay, this is a video for the project, part 4, and this is the other handle on this assembly. So this will be the final assembly, and today we're going to make this grip. Okay, so pretty much this is similar, very similar to the first grip we made, and with a little bit difference. Okay, so let's turn the assembly off. And the idea is, again, based on the handle, because it's going outside of the handle. Based on the handle, we can delete the shell in the handle. And this time there's a difference here. Okay, let's move this up. We need to modify the first extrude to make this hole disappear. Okay, we have two holes here. We need to make this disappear, otherwise in the subtract, you're gonna end up with one cylinder on your grip. Okay, then we make a sketch, edge blend, not many, and it's constant radius. Then we need to make a sketch that we can extrude and subtract some of the volume at the end. Then we do some edge blends, transfer. Then we do the subtract. Also, we have some extra things here. We made the texture, and we added a picture of the logo. So you can add any picture you want. That's extra. They are not required. So starting from the handle, you would like to open the handle. Okay, and first thing is save as. I just save as to the desktop, new model, whatever you want to name it. Okay. Alright, so first delete the shell. Then we need to modify the extrude. I mean the first extrude, yeah. So this one. Okay, notice we have a hole here, and we don't want that. And we're on region boundary curve. We can just click on the area, then it'll take care of the hole over there. Okay, and you would not have that warning because my third sketch has a little issue there. Alright, next is a new sketch, and you're gonna project exactly the same lines from the first sketch in your handle. So I'm gonna show the data and coordinate system. This way we can pick XY plane, then project a curve, single curve, this one, and the circle, this. And this time it's the same. And we can hide the first sketch. Now we can turn them into reference. I'm gonna use a filter so I can select everything, then right click, turn into reference, go back to no filter. Alright, now that's the sketch. Let's go down to the detailed version. Okay, so first thing first, we need to add one circle here with a little bit bigger radius or diameter, 0.4. Convert to reference. Then on the left side, it's actually the whole thing is offset from the reference. So what we do is we turn on this offset, and that's 0.1 inch. Then you can pick connected curve. Well, we can just use single curve. We don't want the top one. And we need to reverse the direction, double click, or you can click here and say OK. Alright, so that's what you see here on the top, or here you have the offset symbol, and as well at the bottom and on the top. Okay, so that's the offset. Okay, and now we can add this horizontal lines. So horizontal, go up, horizontal again. Then we can do a trim on the left side, and we can add some dimensions. Okay. Now this time this is 110 degrees, and you want this line to be tangent to the circle. Okay. Then we have dimension from the top. It's 0.9 inch. 0.9. Then we have the length of this short section is 0.45. I think most of them they're gonna have the same dimension. So this is 0.1 inch from the actual handle. Then let's go down. We can pull this dimension up. Okay. So once you go down, we have a fillet here. Okay. Then it's a 1.5. And you don't see those blue dots, the coincidence symbol, because it's projected from the reference line. Okay, so they're based on the reference line. And 1.5 fillets, and we have this. Okay, you can adjust the radius, the position of the dimension. And we have a total height of 5.6 to the bottom reference line, which is at the next slides. And yep, that's the bottom. Okay, so what we can do, draw a line, turn to reference, and dimension from this line to the bottom reference is 5.6, if I remember that. Yeah, 5.6. And by the way, this is a whole arc, as the same as the last time. So we can take care of the bottom first. So here it's a 3-point arc, connects in the middle of the offset curve. Okay, and ends somewhere here. So we can just make sure it's tangent at the top. Then the bottom we can go for profile curve. So if you hover here, it should give you perpendicular. Otherwise, you can manually add the perpendicular constraints. Now we have a vertical reference from the center of the circle. It's the same as last time. So from here to the bottom, you can overshoot, then trim this away. It's a little bit easier to catch on the bottom curve. Then we can close this whole loop using a 3-point arc. So arc, and in the middle it doesn't matter, as long as you don't have any constraints automatically added. For example, the tangent to this line, then you need to manually delete that. Okay, then we add a distance from this line to this arc, and be careful, don't catch the center of the arc. Sometimes you can just turn it off, the snapping tool, then it'll be a little bit easier to grab the arc. Okay. Then at the bottom we have some dimensions. First, the starting point of the arc to the bottom is 1.65. Then the height from this point to the bottom is 0.5. And let's see, from here to the reference line is 0.45. Then the right side to the reference line is 0.3. Then we have the total width from the leftmost point to the rightmost point is 1 inch. Okay, and I see the colors, they are green, fully constrained. We have 2 constraints needed for the length of your reference line. I think that's also the position of the reference line. So that's good enough for our sketch. Okay. And don't worry about those lines sticking out. because in extrude we're gonna use region boundary curve. So you simply pick the area, then the distance, 5/16 plus the thickness of the rubber grip, okay, 0.1 inch. And by the way, that's a half of the whole thing. And this time we don't have to trim to make it smaller at one end. We go straight to the edge blend. So we have 0.5, 2.8, and 0.1. And the first edge blend is to make this top edge tangent. And if you say apply, then click this, it'll pick the whole edge. Okay. Of course, you can manually pick two edges and apply. Then we have the last one before the cutting is this and that, 0.1 inch. And okay. Then next page, we're gonna build another sketch on XY plane. And hopefully that's XY plane. Yep. Okay, so we have multiple sketches on XY plane. Then we can hide the solid, F8. Then we can project those two lines as reference in your new sketch. So if you overlap those two sketches, it'll look like this. And the lines in our current sketch is highlighted in this picture. Okay. So project curve. Okay. And single curve, I want to project those bottom two curves. Then we can say bye-bye to that sketch, then turn reference. Alright, now we need it's actually a rectangle, but we'll just start from this. We can always add constraints later. So make them perpendicular, then we don't need that perpendicular, okay? Then those perpendicular, then we probably don't need these two. Well. Okay, then we have dimensions. The bottom two dimensions, 0.3 and 0.7, is the distance between the reference line to the boundary that we needed to use to cut into the solid. Okay, if we show the solid a little bit, we just need this portion on the top. The bottom we don't really care, okay, because we're doing a subtract. Alright, then hide the solid. Now we need another little rectangle inside to make the this hole for the, I guess you can put rubber, you can put the ropes inside that hole. Okay, then this and this. Then we can make it perpendicular. It's already did automatically, but this side we need to apply that. Then we have this distance, 0.15. Then the other distance is 0.15. Okay, that's between the reference line and this line. Okay, then the sketch is done. Okay, it doesn't matter the bottom side is bigger or smaller. Then we can show the extrude. Then the next slides we're gonna cut this shape. So let's extrude the big one first. And I'm on boundary curve, that's why I got this. You can turn to static wireframe and pick the smaller rectangle. And be careful of the dimensions. We're gonna start, the extrude is gonna start from 1/8 inch away from the sketch. If you look from this way, okay, there's a distance between the solid and the sketch. Then we're gonna go exceed the handle solid or the grip solid. And as to where, it doesn't matter as long as you can totally cover that volume. And I'm gonna do a subtract, apply, then that'll cut that. Then we're gonna do a second time extrude, pick the smaller box. If you can't pick it, hide the solid and pick that. Show the extrude, and this time we want to go all the way through for the bottom point. So you can drag the bottom point, and it's 0 in the slides, but you can go negative. Okay, it's again subtract. Alright, so that's what we got. Then we do a lot of edge blends. It's aesthetic, so if you feel confused about from the slides, you don't have to follow exactly what I was doing. Let's see. So 0.05 for 3 edges of the well here. It will not be heavy because it's overlapping. So 0.05. Then this corner is a little bit bigger. Then let's say apply first. Then let's pick this edge. It's 0.1. Apply. And you can see the shape. And again, 0.05. And go back to the transfer here. I guess now next is the transfer. Okay. The chamfer. The first one is not symmetric, but again, this is aesthetic, so you can do whatever you want. You can type a number, or you can just drag the arrows. Apply. Then the second one is from on the back ridge, and this time it's symmetric, 0.05. Okay, and all the way to this hole. Okay, now lastly we have 2 edge blends to make it really has a rubber feeling, round all the way around. And this, that's because you didn't pick up the whole thing. So alright, see if we can do that in one. Okay, so that looks pretty smooth except the transfer. Okay. Then the next step is to cut this hollow. So you want to show the handle, and remember we get rid of the hole here. If you have a hole and you subtract, you're gonna end up with like this. Then you can go back and change your sketch. Subtract this from that. Okay, then that's half. Then next it should be the instance geometry, mirror the solid. Then we're gonna pick XY plane, which has the normal direction of Z. So let's say okay. Alright, that's what we did. Then you can unite those 2 pieces. Apply. Alright, then we have a cut here, but this time we will not go too much hassle to find a datum. We just start a sketch on the XZ plane. Okay, then but we do need to find this where this edge is, so we're gonna project this edge from the solid. Okay, if you like to, you can hide the solid. Now turn this to reference. Then the sketch is simply a rectangle with height 0.42, and the left side to the reference edge is 0.4. Then we also want this to be symmetric, right? So you want a midpoint constraint for this to sketch origin, and the fully constrained, that one constraint is this side. Doesn't matter because we're cutting using this side, using this side. So extrude and make sure it doesn't go all the way through. And subtract, okay. So that's the thing we needed for the project. Then we have extra for the texture. That's exactly the same as what we did in the first grip, so I'm not gonna repeat that here. We do have one more interesting things. So you can see all kinds of decal. It's called a decal in NX on the parts, right? Maybe in 3D Max they call that texture. Yeah, I think it's called texture in more serious rendering software. So that is called decal in NX, and it only shows up in this studio rendering. Okay, so if you want to see that, or let's say first, if you want to change the color, you can do that. Okay, then in here, view, visualization, and a decal, you can add a decal on the top, and you do need to find a picture of that, ideally in PNG file format. So I found the one from the website. Well, by default it's TIF, but TIF is buggy on this side, so change it to PNG. Okay, so that's the preview. You can say what object to put the decal on. I want to put on this face, and you can't really see it right now, but if you move down to the origin and change it to studio, you should see it right away. So you can say, okay, the anchor type, where do you want to align, the center or the corner? So you have the option to change that. Doesn't really matter, as long as you know where your picture is. Something you want to do is probably this scaling. Usually you want uniform scale, so it'll let's change to default and change it back. Then I think in here it's 0.7, and the aspect ratio, it should be automatic. And by the way, it's not 1. It's see, image size is your original aspect ratio. Then we change to uniform. Okay, so that's the original aspect ratio. 0.5 is the scaling. Then that's on another direction. We can change this to 180 degrees rotation. Then you can also drag a point to put anywhere you want, probably a little bit bigger, and say OK. So it only shows up in Studio. If you change it back to anything else, it will not show up. And yeah, that's the decal. Sometimes you want to change the decal or modify the decal. Once you apply the decal in a model, you have this tab. Okay, materials import. That's very not understandable name. Then you have this decal. You can click, and you have the editor. You can turn this back on, and that's how we apply a decal to have a nicer looking in the parts of the assembly, and they are not required. Okay, so that's all for this grip. Thank you.